I was trying to think of like what the inner Earth would look like, and I was like, so it has like a cover. Like when we look up, it's infinite, right? So at nighttime you could just see the stars. It goes on and on and on. But like there's no lid on it. So they were
but
saying that there would
that's the
be a
thing
few
is like
thousand
we
miles.
think it's infinite. When we look
That's
up,
right.
we think that is what it is. But like we don't. First of all,
Totally.
we've only ever supposedly been to the moon, but we've sent probes out here or there or whatever. But okay, like let me just read you this article, like because I was just looking at the article is right now. I could probably link it if I have to, but what it is basically we don't okay, we have these telescopes, okay, and they're very convex lenses that are very good, or then you have the the laser mirror ones or the whatever the new ones are, okay. Either way, it's still like just the entire concept is like you're viewing something and you're magnifying it, all right, to a certain point. And that technology is only as good as it's getting. That's not the best thing in the world. Other than that, we're still from this fixed point of Earth and surrounding areas looking out at the universe. So if something looks like a dot and then you zoom it in and it looks like a galaxy or zooms in or whatever, and sometimes it just still looks like a dot no matter how zoomed in you can get in. How do you know how far that is versus this one?
Yeah, I don't know. There is some.
Well,
I asked like the distance between stars or the distance between points.
Between stars, the distance of a star from us to that point, there is only a certain point to where we can actually with confidence know the level to it's guesswork. When you actually really start looking into how we know how far away stars are and everything, it's just guesswork.
Well, I have thought about the same thing, but my dad told me like at some point he's like, no, they use this thing and it's scientific. But you're right. Maybe it is. I don't know.
But like if you look into it, like I'll send you these articles about it. Like just Google like how can you tell how far a star away is? It's right. The margin of error is huge, and not only that, but what it really boils down to is we don't know. We use some fuzzy math. And then we kind of go like, well, we're just going to use this term light year and just say like, well, that there is Andromeda is the closest thing to us, the Andromeda galaxy, and that's 4 light years away, or what? And you're just kind of going like, what? And then they just come up with all these astronomical numbers. I think in the end, what that really ends up doing is makes people go, no, okay, it sounds, yeah, they got like 7. They have the number for you, so you're like, yeah, okay, obviously it's just this infinite, ever expanding void of nothingness with beaming gas balls of we don't really know what's going on. That's the thing. But the confidence that we have that we know is the confusing thing to me.
Right.
And that's what's made me my whole life go like, wait, what?
Yeah. No, it's true. We don't really know. And that's why it seems like, to me, the most sense is that we're able to either use portals or stargates to go from one place to another, because like to actually think that you're going to travel to one of those places at some point when we have technology, like that doesn't make sense. Like with the speed of light or even beyond
the speed of light thing is dumb though. You're kind of always going like, why do we always have to put a limitation on ourselves? Like, well, you can't go faster than the speed of light.
Although they found out that you can go faster than the speed of light now.
Well, and now they're finding out that quasars or whatever, like when a black hole has like the two things like shooting out the other ends, like that's going as fast as speed as light, which they thought nothing really else could, like they supposedly shoots out matter like at the speed of light.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I personally put very little stock in the entire science behind a lot of stuff now.
That's true. It is true. We need science
because it's like I used to be a scientist, like that's I was obsessed with it or whatever. But now I'm just kind of going. A lot of it's just used as dogma to keep you from not thinking further on things, I think,
or just to say what's actually what
your limitation is.
Yeah. And what we're actually really capable of, or what's possible, which pretty much comes down to anything is possible, like anything is possible. but I think we're just really starting to understand what that means. Like, I've been watching the Joe Dispenza stuff, and that goes into quantum physics and how we're really limitless, and really whatever we're putting on ourselves is what our limits are. So if we're saying that it has, like, scientific experiments, right, how can they ever be fully correct if there's always an observer for most of it? Like, how do you
Right.
actually get like a double blind or even a triple blind study? How is that really, like, there's always an observer at some point, no?
Well, and that goes into the holographic universe where you're like basically for something to exist, it has to be observed, and then
Yes.
and then you're kind of going like, wait, what? And then
And then when there's a bunch of beings that are agree to whatever that is, then that's an agreement. So things could still exist. Like, obviously I've never been to Antarctica, but it still exists just because I haven't been there, because there's some level of
yeah, because we've
agreement.
agreed on it.
Well, yeah,
Well,
because people have been, there's enough people that say something exists, or that it does exist. I don't know, it's beyond, it's totally beyond my mind right now. But I wanted to say something about this Greg Brandon stuff too that I'm listening, that I'm
Greg
watching.
Braden.
Yeah, the Greg Braden stuff on Gaia. Oh, I think it was him that was saying this. That scientists, we're so. Oh yeah, I think it was. He was talking about how we scientists are so stuck in their school of thought, and we all are limited to the whatever science it is that we're studying. So an archaeologist would only study archaeology, but when there's something with biology or physics, then that's a different scientist's area. And so we compartmentalize. But he brings up a great point, which is that nature does not compartmentalize exactly the way that science does, the way that we do as scientists. So we just look at things differently because we're constantly trying to compartmentalize everything. But that's one flaw. But then the other one was that we have theories, let's say Newton theories, right? Like, so we have Newton science and Newtonian science, and that's what that's like what we believe, or Darwin and evolution, right? So that's what we have. But anything that doesn't fit into that it's not like there's a new branch of science that's coming out of it. It's just that the scientists are trying to make it fit into an old theory that is now outdated because we've learned something new, but they're still trying to fit it into that same theory instead of going with, well, we might have to just drop that and we've gotten past that and we're now looking at something else. This works in these cases, but it doesn't work in all cases. And that was actually the point about Newtonian physics or Newtonian science, because Newtonian science only can work to a certain level. It doesn't really work in the quantum field.
Well, I mean, and we're finding all this new information out about gravity, which kind of goes against the Newtonian notion of it. I mean, there's a constant of gravity on one plane, but it doesn't apply anywhere else. And
right, exactly.
Exactly. And we don't really know what gravity is. So like, what is this force? And is it some force we're just agreeing upon? Like that's, I mean.
Well, that's again, just accepting it because it's been observed and that's what we have.
But see, that's kind of like my biggest problem with conventional education and stuff is that, look, and I have a master's degree. It's all bullshit. It really is like a privileged. Am I smarter because I did that? No, like I don't think I learned anything like from my. Look, right. What it does is it makes you. You have a master's degree. Whatever. What it makes you do is it makes you. Think that they're okay, I learned to this point, I get to this high point of learning, and then I'm done. I'm a learned person. I'm whatever. That's not how the world works. Like, right. And I feel like our entire education system as a planet is flawed, in that learning should never stop. Period.
Well, I hope so. I hope it never
for
stops.
Anybody. And yeah. It's like, and we shouldn't compete like that we are always like competing with each other to where it's like, you know, like I get a better grade than you, or only so many people can be able to study this subject or this or that. I mean, just the formalization of it all has really dumbed us down and made us be like, oh, I am giving all authority to that person because they've put time into studying that one little subject. So I know nothing. I know nothing about that field at all, and I can know nothing about that. Unless I want to, you know, spend 8 to 10 years on studying to whatever, then I can know nothing about astronomy, or I can know nothing about biology, or I can know nothing about this. Like, that's not my field, so I shall learn nothing about it. That's how we kind of like function as a society. And then so it makes growth or new discoveries really weird and hard. And then if it is discovered by somebody, it's like, what's your credentials? Like how you know, I find it interesting with all these people, like the Hollow Earth guy, the Brooks, oh yes, the word doctor in front of his name. Okay, now he's more valid. He can actually talk about the Hollow Earth. Like, if he didn't have the word doctor in front of his name, he's not a legit human being. He can't act, you know, if his name was Nikki and he was just going on talking about like all these different books he's read about and all these things he's watched and all this stuff, that's not valid. But since he's got that, you know, he's been institutionalized by, you know, society. Okay, now he's valid. We can entertain his ideas. I find that weird a little bit.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I agree with it to an extent that, you know, everybody's valid. There was that intern that just discovered 2 planets at NASA. It was an intern for NASA, you know, and he just discovered 2 new planets. So, you know, he doesn't have all those advanced credentials just yet, but I also see that
You have to know a little bit what you're looking at, I guess.
also, yeah. And also we do, I think it's important to have peer-reviewed scientists to really question and to say, well, this isn't really true based on this evidence. And yes, there's unexplained things that they don't know either. But I feel like everyone could just be writing articles and it could be pseudoscience if it's not really, I don't know, looked at it a deeper way.
Well,
And
I kind of feel like it is all pseudoscience half the time, because
well, that's true.
not hardly anything is peer reviewed.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough decision. I don't fully think that everybody needs to be like, you know, have all these backgrounds, but I do think that
Well, I mean, right now,
you could do it by yourself. I'm not saying that an institution has to be behind you all the time. I'm not saying that, but I do think that
you could do it by yourself, and some people do, and then that's great. But I think my main point is that, like, I feel like from a very early age we're taught to give our power away as intellectual beings, and to where we stop, even we are just conditioned to pass the buck, and we stopped thinking about ideas in general, like external ideas. That's true.
The U.S. or the world education system is definitely dumbing people down rather than making them smarter. But I feel that I feel that that's changing. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do feel
like the internet has helped a ton.
Yeah, and also this generation, people are innovative. People look things up for themselves. Yeah, exactly, because of the internet. And not that the internet has all the answers, or the right answers. There's a lot of bullshit too. But I think that people have more of an opportunity to investigate and I don't know, and live alternative educational system, because the educational system is not working. It's just not working. People are getting dumber.
Yeah. I mean, and then I don't know what it takes to change a history book or whatever, but I mean, like they literally still teach Columbus. And you're like, they didn't discover, like, there was people here. Like, that's it. I mean, I don't even.
Do they still use the word discover in history books? I'm afraid to know.
Yes. Like, I mean, and I know this because I have like 6 nieces and nephews under the age of 12, and like I look at all their crap and I'm like, good God. It's like it just doesn't evolve.
Right.